Well, hello, Jay Leno. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Paul B., and I'm the host of the Homeless Consultant channel. For the past 7 years, I have been documenting the reality of what it is like to be homeless in America, the challenges that we truly face versus the falsehood that is portrayed in the mass media and by the government. And I was doing some research on why, after 6 years of work from living in a car, that YouTube still doesn't make my videos available to anybody, so that I could literally type in the title of a unique title of one of my videos in quotation marks, and YouTube won't find it somehow. Even though I, as a computer programmer, can easily write a computer program that will search and find a string of characters in quotation marks, but somehow Google and YouTube, I don't know, maybe they need to get some better programmers or something, because they say they don't do any kind of shadow banning of YouTube channels that tell the truth. So I don't know what the reason was, but while I was doing that, YouTube recommended, for reasons unknown, it recommended your channel about your car collection, Jay's Garage. And wow, I have got to say, Jay, those are some beautiful cars you got there. And those McLarens, wow, what a collection. But it was interesting because as I was watching it, you were talking about what the greatest car ever made was. And I respect your opinion very much. You clearly know a lot about cars, but I just wanted to suggest that perhaps the greatest car ever made is not one of the cars in your collection. Okay? I want to propose to you that the greatest car ever made was the 2001 Mercury Cougar. The reason is because I have lived inside of one for the past 7 years. And this car alone, by the grace of God, literally has kept me alive. And as beautiful as the cars are in your collection, and man, they are gorgeous, I gotta say. Wow, well done. I don't think I could have lived in any one of those for the past 7 years and survived. This car has kept me alive. I want to take you on a tour of this car. The thing is, when I came out of work yesterday, the manual transmission was stuck, and there appears to be a ball joint or something that is bad in front. So when I turn the wheel, it goes and it feels like I just ran over a person. So I'm going to have to drive back to my home base where my mechanic is. It's a 16-mile drive, and I got to be honest, Jay, if it sounds like I'm out of breath, it's because I'm frankly quite terrified that this car is going to fall apart on the highway, and I'm going to lose this car, which, as I said, has kept me alive for 7 years. And I am absolutely terrified to drive it back. So before the potential of losing this car here, I thought I would give you a quick outer tour, and if I do somehow survive this trip back, I'll give you a more detailed tour of why this car is the best car ever made. So let's just take a quick look at the outside, okay? This is the parking garage where I work, and I have to park in here at night and sleep for about 4 hours after work, but then I have to leave early, before everyone else gets here so that they don't know. So I get about 4 hours sleep. But I don't want to brag. I really don't want to brag, but my garage is bigger than your garage. All right, here's the beauty car, the 2001 Mercury Cougar. Look at this beauty, Jay. I'm telling you. I am telling you. This is the greatest car ever made. If you look at the outside, I guess, what I'll show you real quick, just in case the car gets destroyed on the way home today, or home to my home base. It's got a bit of rust, a little bit of rust here. It's got, a couple dents. You can see the paint jobs, a little rough. It's got a few dings. Can't really see, the headlights really don't illuminate my journey. They're pretty fogged up here, so I really can't see at night. There isn't really any particular light that comes from the headlights, but that's okay. A little more rust. Yeah. And if you look underneath, let's see here. I'm going to start this up, let you hear what she sounds like. Okay, let me put the camera up here so you can hear this beautiful engine. It's a 6-cylinder. It's got a lot of pep to it. So the car has a few problems. As to be expected. It's a 20-year-old car now, and it's served as a home for the past 7 years. So I will give you a better tour of the car and why this is the greatest car ever made. And I'm not being facetious here, Jay. I'm not being facetious one bit. This thing has done more to keep me alive than 5.5 million Minnesotans combined for 7 years. I paid $1,500 for that car 10 years ago. If that isn't the greatest car ever made, my friend, you got to tell me which one really is. If I survive this trip back to my home base and my mechanic, I'll tell you more about the car later. All right? Thanks so much for watching. Hi, well, welcome back, Jay. I actually made it to my mechanic's place. It was one of the most white-knuckled drives I've ever had in this car. Absolutely terrifying. I was driving 20-30 miles an hour down the highway because I have to cross a major river to get to this part of town, and that's only done by highway. The state of Minnesota hasn't seen fit to actually put any other roads crossing the highway. So I had to go on the highway at extremely slow speeds. I had all my safety gear ready in case, expecting this to die. And as I'm just driving along, the thing would suddenly just start steering on its own. And I made it though, and that is the key point I want to make with this video. This car, for all it has been through, for all I've been through, for all we've been through together, this car made it. Again, by the grace of God. Ultimately, I give all praise and credit to God for that. But this car made it back. I can't drive it again, and the mechanic can't get to me today, so I'm going to have to just sit in this car with no access to food or anything for the next 24 hours. But And I don't have any money for car repairs right now either. But I wanted to explain a bit more about this car and why I feel I am correct when I say that this 2001 Mercury Cougar is the best car ever made. With all due respect, even better than all of the cars in your garage combined. So let me explain what I mean by that, alright? Now, my homeless consultant channel is on hiatus. I haven't made a video in several months. Everything in this car gets destroyed. Everything it uses wires, because the wires all get bunched up and they short out. This camcorder lasted for 6 years. This thing is amazing. I made my homeless consultant videos with this, with music videos I made, all kinds of clever stuff I made, stop motion, animation. But this thing got all bunched up in here, and over the years it shorted out. One day at work I bought a soldering iron, and I went in and I tried to fix it. I plugged it into the wall at work, and the little red light came on here, and I breathed a sigh of relief like you can't believe, because this is my lifeline to the world. This is how I communicate to the world. And so I unplugged it. I went back to the car. I went down to the parking garage. I plugged it into the wall down there, and I've never seen the red light again since. So I bought this little webcam I'm using here. I guess I can show you what this looks like. It has a light on it and everything. I bought this little webcam cheap, and I'm using a portable recorder for the audio. I'm sorry about the audio on the first part of this. So normally I would take that wonderful high-res camera and go around and just show you everything in the car and underneath and everything, but I'll do my best with this. The car has 198,340 miles on it, so not quite 200,000 miles. As far as the cabin goes, it has a few issues, shall we say. First of all, the engine light has been on perpetually for 6 years, and often the engine light blinks. Because what has happened, one of the main reasons I am still homeless after 7 years, despite being a working professional, the main reason is because I have no family. So I have no one to lean on, and I'm in the state of Minnesota where there's no community. If you're an outsider, someone who moved to this state like I did, they hate you, and they want you to die. They're the ones who made me homeless in the first place, and they are going to do nothing to help me. So there's no community whatsoever, and I have no family. That's the main reason I have stayed homeless all this time, and they're the reason I became homeless. But for 7 years I've been homeless largely because almost every penny I make goes back into keeping this car running so that I can drive to work for another day to earn enough money to save up so that I can pay for the next major car repair. Like I said, I paid $1,500 for this car, and I traded my old van that I had, that I moved here with, and I've probably put in way over $10,000 in repairs, but only since I became homeless. Before that, I kept the car maintained. I only drove it to work. In other places, it was fine. But once you become homeless, everything changes, and that's what they don't tell you on television. That's what YouTube will not allow people to say. See, YouTube shadow bans my videos because I tell the truth. As far as I know, I'm the only one. I'm sure there's others out there, but I can't find them any more than people can find me. But as far as I know, I'm the only one out of 4 million homeless people in America, the most well-educated homeless population in the world, who is trying to be a voice and trying to tell the world about what is essentially a homeless holocaust in the United States. We are forgotten and left for dead. We have no civil rights. We have no constitutional rights. I was denied my right to vote because I'm homeless by the state of Minnesota. We have no legal rights. We have nothing. And nobody will even talk about us. So, as I explain what's going on with this car, please understand where I'm coming from with it. As far as the cabin goes then, the engine light is perpetually on, and you know, a couple times a year it'll start blinking because something major's wrong and I have to get that fixed. Then when he fixes it, it goes back to just the engine light being on but not blinking. The parking brake here, the parking brake doesn't work, and the parking brake has never worked since I bought the car, which actually was about 12 years ago, not 10. When I first bought the car, I knew the parking brake, the cable was all rusted out. One of the first things I did within a few weeks of buying it was have the local mechanic where I lived replace the cable, which he did, and he charged me $250 for it. So I got in the car and I pulled up the brake and I was like, this doesn't work. And he said, well, yeah, because you got a clip broken in the handle. And I said, well, why didn't you tell me that? Why didn't you fix it? He said, you can't fix it. They don't make that part anymore, and they're not available in junkyards or anything. And I said, well, why did you replace the cable then and charge me $250 if I'll never be able to use this parking brake? And he just said, because that's what you asked me to do. That's what I'm dealing with in Minnesota. So I've never had a parking brake, but this is a 5-speed manual transmission. And everything in the state of Minnesota is built on hills, all the parking lots. So I have to ride my brakes all the time, among other things. Put something under the wheels so I don't roll away. The hood release. The hood release is just hanging on the floor here. So my feet hit it, it gets knocked around all the time. The dash lights at night, the dash lights are so dim that I can't even see really anything. I can see the speedometer, thank goodness, which is what I need. I can see the RPMs. I can't see the clock. I can't really see the other gauges. And I took the dashboard apart about 4 years ago and replaced the light and put new ones in, and it didn't matter. The driver's side visor has fallen off, and that reveals a big hole in the ceiling with this wire and connector hanging. There's a metal bar in this seat right here that jams into my back, and it has jammed into my back for the past 7 years. There really isn't any way to describe the kind of physical pain that has caused, because when I'm not at work for 8 hours a day, 16 hours a day, I'm sitting in this car. This car is what keeps me alive. That's why it's the greatest car in the world. And if I leave this car for even a moment, this car could get stolen or destroyed or who knows what. Because these people around me here in Minnesota don't care whether I live or die. This metal bar in my back, have you ever had someone come up and just push in your solar plexus? How it feels like you're out of breath. It feels like you're almost nauseous. That's right where that hits my back. A couple years ago, I woke up in the morning in this car and everything worked fine with my hands, and my wrist just went crack, really loud crack. And this thumb has never really worked since. I can move it, but I can't do. I used to be a fantastic finger drummer. Like finger drumming on an MPC or something. This thumb has been useless for the past 2 years. This thing is just killing all the nerves on my side. At the beginning of this year, I woke up in the morning and my whole left side was basically gone. I could move it, I could kind of move my hand and stuff. It still hasn't really healed. That's another reason I've been on hiatus with the Homeless Consultant channel, is to get my arm back, do my own physical therapy. And I've more or less got it back, but it still doesn't have any strength, and I can't lift. I can't do the kind of things I can do with my right side. That's this bar poking into my side, poking into my spine, basically threatening to paralyze me. I have to move this seat back and forth all the time throughout the day. When I park, I have to move the seat back so that I have anything that resembles room. About 10 to 20% of the time when I move the seat, the fuse blows out and the seat won't move at all. So I have all these 30 amp fuses that I have to get down there, and in the winter it's a lot of fun because I have to open the door, freeze the car, and get on my hands and knees in the snow and ice and replace underneath, because it's way underneath the bottom there. The fuse for the clock and other gauges goes out periodically. once a week, once every 2 weeks, something like that. And that'll reset the clock and everything. The oil light on the dashboard, if I'm driving in heat, which is pretty much every single day in the summer, when I press my brake, the oil light kind of comes on. It like juts and jitters, and I don't know what that means. The upholstery, everything in this car is absolutely filthy. 7 years of living in it with no way to really clean it in a meaningful sense. It smells. It is horrifying. It's not healthy. The upholstery up here is coming off at the roof, all along the front of the car. The steering wheel cover is frayed and it's falling apart. That is partially my fault, though. I don't know if I can show you this, but one of the things I do to try to occupy my time is I try to keep my chops up here. You know, so I'm always trying to drum, and if I don't know how you're going to be able to see anything, but, you know. And, alright, let's get this back together. So it's partially my fault that this steering wheel cover's falling apart, and I'll accept responsibility, and I'll accept the steering wheel cover being in that position. Since for the last 7 years, after spending up until that time, about 45 years of my life, I started drumming. I remember the first time I had drumsticks in my hand, I was about 2 years old, because I accidentally jammed it down my throat and they had to take me to the hospital. So I've been drumming my entire life, and for the last 7 years, that's gone. So all my chops are gone. I mean, listen, if you're a drummer, you know how bad that is. I have no control of my left hand because of this bar. Everything I've done my entire life is gone from being in this car and breathing all these exhaust fumes. So that's what's going on in the cabin. As far as the climate control goes here, I have no air conditioning. I never have in this car. The vent stopped working. And to top it all off, this window here stopped working. I'm grateful beyond belief that it stopped working when it was rolled up, but I cannot get airflow in this car. I can open that window only, and that's why people usually see me sitting with my knee holding this door open, and my knee has a huge dent in it from having this car. But if the wind blows, it often takes the door like an airfoil, and it blows the door out and just shakes the whole car, and it's ripping the door off the hinges. Also, at night when I'm sleeping in here, I'm so tired after work. I'm just so exhausted because I can't exercise. I have to stay in this car every moment I'm not working to protect the car, because the car protects me. I'll fall asleep with this door open, and you know, at that point I'm maybe 8-10 miles away from Minneapolis. Maybe you've seen what's happened in Minneapolis the last couple years. My life is completely at risk. I can't help it. I just fall asleep with the door open. I'm completely exposed. I have computers in here. I have electronic gear, that camcorder. I have all this stuff, and I have myself, with all these gangbangers out there that Minnesota will do nothing about, who have to go out and shoot somebody as part of their initiation for joining the gang. I have no climate control in here. During the summer, for about 3 months, it is at least 90 inside this car. It's about 20 degrees maybe hotter in this car than it is outside. So in the summer, this car is usually over 100 degrees during the daytime when I'm in this car, which is very painful and dehydrating. And in the winter, this car outside gets down to as much as 20 below zero, and the wind chills get down to maybe 45 below zero. And there's so many rust holes in the car that wind just blows right through this car. I have no heat either. So in the winter, when it's that cold, if you watch my other videos, you'll see I just have to cover myself up with as much as I can and pray for the best. As far as the engine goes, oil is leaking from the engine onto the alternator, which shorts out the alternator. So while most people just do an oil change every 3 months or so, I'm probably looking at having to change my alternator every 3 months or so. That's not really something I can afford. I don't go to my job every day to pay for that. I was hoping to pay for getting out of the situation. The starter needs replacing. At this point, it's getting worse and worse and worse. At this point, I would say about 25% of the time, when I try to start the car, it just goes. This makes this horrifying sound. So I had to go out and buy one of these little battery packs, and I'll take it out, I'll put up the hood, and I'll plug this in, and it jump starts the car just like that in the summer. In the winter, this does absolutely nothing. All it does in the winter is when I turn the key, it just drains this battery in about 10 seconds. So I have no hope in the winter. And I have to find a way to charge this thing all the time. So if I forget to charge it when I'm at work, what do? I have to top off the antifreeze about twice a week because it empties out the reservoir. The reservoir itself actually is falling apart. It has holes in it. I've patched the holes. It's a disaster area. Likewise, I have to add oil a couple times every week. It goes down. I have to add about 2 quarts a week of oil. Not always. It's weird how it kind of fluctuates, but at least a quart, but usually 2 quarts a week. After I've been driving in heat, and by heat I mean like 70 degrees, I mean not super duper hot. After I've been driving just as far as from this, what I call my home base, where my storage is, to work, the car, steam and smoke or whatever, white smoke will pour out of the engine like an overheated car for about 20 or 30 minutes. As far as the body goes, the body is rusted throughout, completely rusted. This is Minnesota. They just dump salt all over the place, and it destroys every car out here. It has created holes in this car that in the winter it allows that air I told you about that can get down to 45 below zero wind chill. It allows that air in this car, so this car is always basically the same temperature as it is outside. It's a little bit warmer because my body heat, but it can only suck so much heat out of my body before my body's just frozen solid, and then the car is the temperature that it is outdoors. It also allows all those exhaust fumes back there straight into this car, the carbon monoxide. That's one of the things that is a strong candidate for that will be the cause of my death. It's carbon monoxide poisoning. Like I said, that has taken away my singing voice. I've been involved in music my entire life. Before I moved to Minnesota, I was in a band that I absolutely loved. We made such good music in San Diego. My voice is so gone now, I can't do anything. And like I said in the first part of the video, sitting in this seat, being compressed all the time, and then at work for 8-9 hours, I'm sitting in a cubicle, in a chair. I'm sitting all the time. It's destroying my body. I never get sick, by the way. I don't get sick. I haven't been sick since I stopped using our healthcare system 30 years ago. But that's not going to prevent the physics and biology and chemistry of my body from being destroyed by this situation. My ankles are swollen. Everything that attacks your heart is happening to me. I don't know if you want to see this or not, but when you're in a situation like this where your diaphragm is compressed and you're stuck in a seated position, whenever you cough or hiccup or sneeze, or really even just doing this, just kind of to try to push open the door, if you engage in flatulence, if you do any of these bodily functions, it puts tremendous pressure on your diaphragm. And what's happened is it's caused an intestinal hernia. So my intestines are now sticking out of my belly button about this far, and they're starting to get infected. that's another candidate for the cause of my death, probably coming soon. But that exhaust is horrific. I mean, it's just absolutely destroyed my vocal cords. I can't sing. So between me no longer being able to breathe, I can't even sing one line of a song before I'm out of breath. I used to be able to sing anything, but I have no breath control. Just like I've lost all my chops with drums. All those years I spent just diligently thousands of hours I spent learning to play drums just so the state of Minnesota could take away all my skill sticking me in this car. So the holes in this car are a real problem. They equalize the temperature. I have this fan in here I'll tell you about later, but I don't have any climate control, so it gets super hot, it gets super cold is what I'm getting at. If it's raining, that means that all the water comes in those holes and all the floors in here get soaked. Everything on the floor is papers. They just get absolutely soaked, as if I just poured a glass of water on them from the top. Also, the driver's side speaker, because of where the holes are on this one, if it rains, water will get in that speaker. So if I turn on my car stereo, you get a bunch of electrical shorts. So I really can't use my car stereo anymore if it's even remotely wet. There's a huge rust spot surrounding the antenna up top, which of course we don't need antennas anymore, but that big thing is flapping around and pulling on all that rusty metal. That's going to open up a gaping hole right above this, right above those controls, those electrical controls. Coming soon. The undercarriage is all rusted out. As I told you, my mechanic won't put this car on a lift anymore. He's afraid it'll just fall right through. Also, I would calculate, given, you know, take you know, I've been in here 6 years out of the 7 I've been homeless. If you calculate how often I spill a drink, so either coffee or a soda or water or urine onto the floorboard here, I would say about 1,000 spills I've had. So the floorboards and the seat rails and everything on the driver's side are completely soaked and rusted. And that's another potential cause of my death coming soon, is this seat just falling into the ground while I'm driving down the highway perhaps, and me going with it. I would estimate 1,000 spills I've had, basically at least one spill every day on average, sometimes more than one. And whenever that happens, I have to blow the money on almost an entire roll of paper to try to soak it up. The suspension in this car is totally crooked, so the tires go bad very quickly. I have to replace the tires about every 6 months. The headlight covers are so glazed over that they hardly let any light through. When I'm driving at night, I really can't see. If I turn my headlights off, then I realize that there was some light there. But if I have the headlights on, I really can't see 10 feet in front of my car. Excuse me. If it's raining or snowing, I can't see. I'm just driving blind. It's extraordinarily dangerous, and I hate it because I'm a very safe driver. But people in my situation don't have choices. We just have a whole bunch of osteophobic Americans around us who keep sitting from the comfort of their own home, yapping and yammering about how, well, you're making your choices. But they're not the ones sitting in this car for 7 years. They don't know jack, Jay. The headlights are not aligned properly, so that's another reason you can't really see out of it. The passenger headlight apparatus, the plastic on the outside, it's detached from the body, so it bounces all over. I have to put black electrical tape over it all the time to try to hold it in place. The running light on that side will fall off. I have that taped down with electrical tape. There are dents and dings all over this car. This car had really nice paint when I got it. Not anymore. It's horrific. One of the reasons for some of the dents and the dings and the scrapes on this is because on many occasions as I've been in here, and I've made videos about this. In fact, I have yet another video right now. Even though everyone thinks homeless people are the problem, we're the bad people, as I point out in my videos, it is housed people who commit almost every crime that's committed in this country. Yes, every once in a while there is a homeless person, and they will put it in the news because they want you to think that every homeless person is dangerous. But statistically, 99.99% of all crimes and such and stupidities are perpetrated by housed people. For example, the osteo-phobes over here that I can't get away from because I can't drive the car, they look at me as if I'm a problem. You know, oh my gosh, a horrible homeless person, he's bad. But these are part of the crowd that sell meth to the children at the high school. I've never used drugs in my life, Jay. What I was getting at is that some of the dents and dings in this car come from housed people. When I'm in a parking lot, they are too lazy to put their shopping carts in the corrals where they won't roll away. And like I said, everything in Minnesota is built on a hill. So those shopping carts, if it's windy out, I've filmed it before where you just see shopping carts just rolling down hills all over the place. As if there's a whole bunch of ghosts, an army of ghosts out there shopping. These shopping carts, and they just go BAM! Right into people's cars. And so I'll be sleeping in the car sometimes, and BAM! A shopping cart just smacked my car. And the only person I've ever seen, other than the people who were paid to do this, to move shopping carts, the only person I've ever seen remedy this situation is me. I'll go out and move the shopping cart so that nobody gets hurt. But homeless people are really bad and rotten people. Just in case you haven't heard the news media, I wanted to make sure you realize that homeless people are really bad, very dangerous people. There's a huge key scratch in the driver's side door and beyond. I did a video called Who Done It? Who Key Scratched My Car? And in that video, I think I make a very strong legal case that it was an employee of the Minnesota Department of Transportation who came up and key scratched my car. Because you see, Jay, Minnesotans are osteo-phobic. We all know they're racist. That's where all this stuff 2 years ago came from. And they are. They're very racist. They're also osteo-phobic. They hate homeless people. And I had to park my car to use the internet one time where these MDOT employees were parking where they shouldn't have been, but they wanted the place for themselves. And when I went inside and came back, there's a big key scratch on my car. So either somebody did it right in front of all those MDOT workers, or it was an MDOT worker who did it. An employee of the Minnesota government, the same organization that is largely responsible for me being homeless in the first place. The gas tank. The gas tank is held on by tie downs. You know, those thick straps with the locking mechanisms, the claws. That's what's holding my gas tank on this car right now, because the brackets fell off, rusted off. The gas tank spout where you put in the gas to fill it, it's totally loose and detached. So it's very hard, it's difficult to get the nozzle in the first place. I'm afraid it's going to break completely off, and because there's a gap in there, all that $5 gas I put in this car, it just evaporates away. During the winter, when I have to run this car 24 hours a day, even though there's no heater, I have to generate engine heat. Anything I can conceivably do to try to stay warm enough to stay alive, I spend maybe $20 to $30 a day on gasoline. And that's back when it was $4 a gallon. Now it's, till recently it was $5 a gallon. So the current problems that I have that are utterly crucial, I've got this tie rod and or ball joint problem where I can't even drive the car anymore. If I try to turn the wheel even a little bit, it just goes boom, as if I ran over an antelope or something. The exhaust is detached somewhere. That happened about 2 months ago maybe. So now this car is exceedingly loud. The engine runs loud. It used to be nice and quiet. It backfires. It sounds like these children out here, these Minnesota children who purposely detach it so that their cars will be really loud, sound like they're perpetually farting, you know. They seem to think that's cool. I think it's disrespectful and it disturbs people inside their homes. I don't like my car being in that condition, but something went wrong a few months ago and I can't afford to fix it. The brakes are bad. For about 6 months now, the brakes have been really bad. When I press the brake, you can just feel it on your foot. Just boom, 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 boom. It's actually gotten a bit better. I think it's because it's just worn down to nothingness. Like I said, the shifter here, I don't know what's going on. That just started yesterday, but really difficult to put it in first or second gear. And then the starter needs replacing. Every day it's getting worse. It's becoming more and more and more common that I have to use that battery pack to start the car, and that thing does nothing in the winter. As we get closer to winter, I'm doomed. Those are the problems with the car I can think of. There are a lot more, but those are the ones I can think of offhand, such as, you know, the mirrors here, the power mirrors don't work, you know, there's just a whole bunch of stuff. But having said that, I'm here to talk about why this is the greatest car ever made. And with that in mind, I want to take you on a tour of this car in its capacity as my home. Alright? So, first of all, let's take a look at the living room. Alright, Jay, welcome to my living room here. This is where I live. When I'm not at work, this is pretty much where I'm sitting almost 24 hours a day or 16 hours a day. It's my living room. What can I say? Let's go take a look at the kitchen. Hi, welcome to my kitchen. This is my kitchen. Of course, I don't have any way to prepare food. I don't have a stove or a microwave or anything. So it's kind of limited to things like when I buy this awful convenience store food, which is all I can really eat, opening it here in my kitchen, and then I take it over to the dining room where I eat it. So let's go take a look at the dining room. Alright, welcome to my dining room. That's where I will actually eat all this food that I open up after I go buy it at a convenience store at 3 times the price I would have paid when I had a home buying food that I could prepare. It's not terribly nutritious. 7 years of eating this kind of stuff has had a devastating impact on my body. I liked having a home and cooking. I enjoyed it very much. I made a lot of tasty meals in my home. Let me show you my ceiling fan next. Okay, the car doesn't have a ceiling fan, so what I had to do was go out and buy this portable fan. This thing uses these big honking batteries. They'll last about, if it's on low, it'll last about 8 hours. If it's on high, it'll last about 3 or 4 hours. In the summer, I need it on high, so I have 2 batteries. That's about 6 hours. On my days off, I'm out of work for, about 60 hours or so. And I have a battery power for 6 hours of that. Otherwise, I'm in a car that's usually over 100 degrees throughout the entire summer. This is, thank goodness, the first day we've actually had cloud cover. It's still very hot in here, but we have cloud cover for the first time in memory. 6 weeks maybe, I don't know. I mean, it's just hot and sunny every single day. So that's my fan, that's my ceiling fan. Let's take a look at the bedroom, okay? Alright, Jay, welcome to my bedroom. This is where I sleep. It's not terribly comfortable, especially since I have this metal bar in my back the whole time. I don't tend to move the seat back and sleep. There's a couple reasons for that, because I can only sleep for maybe 3 or 4 hours from a safety perspective. And if I'm sleeping in the garage at work, I can't be there when people come into work. I can't be sitting there sleeping in the car. I don't want them knowing what's going on here. Remember, Minnesotans are osteo-phobes. They hate homeless people. I don't need them knowing this. So I can only sleep 4 hours or so a night before I have to move the car. If I move the seat back, I will sleep right through the alarm. It's too comfortable compared to what I do. So I have to force myself to sleep in uncomfortable positions so that when the alarm goes off, even though I'm absolutely exhausted and in pain, I will still wake up enough to move my car. So I usually just turn sideways, try to get away from this bar, and I put my head down like this, or like this, and I sleep. But of course that's ruining this arm and this wrist. It's been about 6 hours since I did that. I'd say right now in this car, this hand is still partially numb from that. But this is my bedroom. Let's take a look at the bathroom. Okay, Jay, welcome to my bathroom. I don't have a shower. I don't have a bathtub. That's a problem. State of Minnesota does not provide that for homeless people. It will provide it for some, but you have to basically enter a prison system voluntarily to benefit from that. And that's if I want to drive this car, say, to Minneapolis every day just to use a shower while someone pillages and robs my car while I'm in the shower and steals my clothes. Homeless shelters are among the most dangerous places in the world. So this is my bathroom, and this is my toilet. The previous bottle leaked. This one doesn't hold as much. Sometimes I can fill it in one sitting. And when you're sitting like this, because you're not standing up, you're like this, when you pee into this bottle, sometimes if I can't stop because I have to go so badly, it'll just overflow and it'll soak all my clothes and my seat. And then I have to go empty the bottle. If I have to do something more significant than urinate, because my diet is so bad, because I can't prepare food for the last 7 years, I basically have diarrhea almost every single day. And what else can I do? I try to run to a gas station. Sometimes I make it in time, sometimes I don't. That's my bathroom. Let's take a look at the office and study in my home here. Okay, welcome to my office and my study. What I do is I have these, well, when I don't lose them. Where'd they go? It is so easy to lose things. I lost them. Well, I have these clips that I put on my steering wheel cover, and then I can set the computer on those clips so it'll lay up against the steering wheel. That allows me to, do things, research, surf the internet, when I'm writing, when I'm studying a topic, when I've been learning digital art and animation lately, things like that. So this is my office. This is my office. This is what I have to work with to try to plot and plan and research and contact people to get out of this mess. Let's take a look next at the first aid station. Okay, welcome to my first aid station here. When you live in the car and you have to sit in the car all the time and then you're sitting at work, what happens is you get blood clots all over the place. So as you'll see in some other videos of mine, in my groin area there's nothing but blood clots and huge blisters, sometimes just much bigger than a golf ball even, of blood. And if I don't drain those, which can fill a good portion of one of these things and just turn it all red, if I don't fill that with blood and drain that, then sometime when I'm sleeping or what have you, it'll just pop because it gets so big, and it'll bleed all over my car and my clothes. So I can't use, for example, I can't keep my underwear very long. It just gets bloody and destroyed within a couple days. So I'm constantly having to buy underwear. I made a video called "The Cost of Being Homeless," and I tried to emphasize that being homeless costs so much more than it did when I was in a home. It's reasons like that. Also, when you live in this car, especially since I have to do the things like this to try to keep it cool, I get a huge number of spider bites, which sometimes can be huge. I don't know if they're brown recluses or what, but sometimes my whole leg will almost turn into a solid mass. I mean, no more flapping muscle, it's just solid, and it's white. And a couple weeks later, when it finally goes down and it drains, it just drains pus all over the place. I have to deal with that. It makes my body smell like I'm decomposing, even though I'm not dead yet. And when I'm at work, that's how I smell, because I have no place to take a shower or to maintain my hygiene. But this is my first aid station, so I have to treat these spider and insect and mosquito bites all the time. And then now I've got this hernia, and since the hernia is becoming infected, that's also starting to bleed, and I have to dress that wound as well. Let's take a look at the electrical room for this home. Okay, welcome to the electrical room here. What I've got is this power inverter that I plug into the lighter in the car. I used to have another power inverter that had 2 of these, and that was wonderful because I really need 2 at once. But that burned out, and this is all they sell now. So I got the one with 1. So I use this to recharge maybe the phone. And by the way, the phone doesn't work. I have a track phone, and about 6 months ago, track phone just killed everybody's phones and forced everyone to go buy a phone, a new phone, or to get their free one for 5G. The problem is, believe it or not, I am trying to save my life and get out of homelessness. I don't have a couple hours to spend on the phone talking to people in India who I can't even understand to try to get a free phone that they can't mail anywhere because I have no address. So I went out and I bought another phone, but I still haven't bought a phone card for it because I have no family. I have nobody to talk to on the phone anyway. The only thing I need it for is emergencies, and wow, do I ever need the phone for that. Calling 911 whenever the gangbangers come out and threaten me, or just the ordinary suburban Minnesotans who are a huge threat to my life, limb, and property, as you can see in other videos. So that's my electrical room. The fuse box again is way underneath the well here where my feet are. When I have to replace those, I have to get down with and I have, along with that fan, I have this flashlight, so I take the battery and I clamp it on here, and then I can see which fuse it is I need to replace. And there's other fuses in the engine compartment as well. So that's the electrical system, which has a lot of problems in this car. Let's look at the home theater next. Okay, welcome to my home theater. Like I said, I can put the computer up here on the steering wheel and I can watch, a movie or something like that. I'm not prone to doing that. For my whole life, I've spent most of my time doing something productive. So I'm usually researching and learning, but every once in a while I want to vegetate and watch a movie. Not that often, once every 6 months, 4 months, something like that. I might watch a movie. I do watch a lot of documentaries, not the History Channel and these fake documentaries, but the real ones. They're hard to find though. All you have to do is watch a video about homelessness and be homeless, and then you'll realize how bad those documentaries really are. Also, my background is in science, so if I look at something, anything documentary-wise to do with science, I'm repulsed because I know what junk science is, and that's all that there is today. So anyway, I don't watch a whole lot of that stuff. I don't like to be a vegetable at all. So, but this is my home theater if I were to watch a movie. The problem, of course, is that if I have a computer up here, the screen is visible all around, and that attracts people. It attracts people who want to steal my computer. It attracts people who want to hurt me. It attracts the police. I remember on Christmas Eve, I made a video about it. Christmas Eve, I was out in the parking lot using internet. I had my computer up there. I was watching a documentary on the Holocaust. Because again, the parallels between what's happening to homeless people in America and what happened in the Holocaust are pretty significant. And I was watching this, and there's nobody on the road. There isn't a car in sight. The parking lot, football field after football field size parking lots, empty. Businesses closed. Christmas Eve, like 11 at night. And somebody walks up to my car with a hood. So I had to take my computer and literally throw it down, start the car, and back out and tear out of there as quick as I possibly could. That's one reason my main computer is destroyed. I just got this little dinky thing. My main computer is bigger, and it's just falling apart because so often I have to just grab it and literally throw it down because someone materializes 2 or 3 feet away from my car, and they are all potentially a threat with all the carjackings and the violence out here. So this computer's just falling apart. You know, you can see my main computer, and that's the reason why, because I so often have to because threats just come out of nowhere all the time, day and night. With that in mind, let's look at the music room. Alright, okay, welcome to my music room. This is where, as I told you, I will practice my drums to the extent that I can, given that sitting in this car for all these years has ruined my hands. But also I play guitar. So I'll take my guitar. Of course, it doesn't fit in here like it fit in my home, so I have to open the door to have the headstock out there. Then you get noise like that, so I can't really hear my guitar. I also have this little keyboard here. So if I want to play, I have a whole studio on my computer. If I want to play synthesizers or mellotrons or something like that, I can, play with the keyboard. That's why I've made some music videos on the Homeless Consultant channel. If you look at I made a playlist of music videos for Homeless Consultant. You might check it out. This is my music room. Let's take a look at the video production studio. Okay, welcome to my video production studio. Like I said, when my video camera worked, it was much better because it's a professional camera, or at least it's close to it. The quality of video there is way beyond anything else you'll get from a phone or from this webcam. And the fact that it has image stabilization and all these other features allows me to do a lot of, multiple angles, stop motion animation, things like that. And then right here with my computer up on the steering wheel is where I'll do the editing and then upload it. I've uploaded more than 250 videos to the Homeless Consultant channel. Except for the last 3 or 4, they all used that camera until the camera died. And I don't know how I'm going to continue the channel because you can't do that with a webcam. But this is where I edit it. This is where I put it online. 250 videos over 6 years, and my videos typically get about 30-40 views, maybe 100 if I'm lucky. And again, if you search on YouTube for the title of my video, unique title, you won't find it in many cases because YouTube doesn't shadow ban channels that tell the truth. That's what they say. And that's what the mass media says as well. Twitter doesn't censor people who tell the truth at all. Let's look at the closet, shall we? Okay, when it comes to closet space, I'm doing okay here. As you can see, I've got things that I keep in my front seat, although it takes up the whole front seat. My back seat is always in flux, changing. There's a lot of base things in there. When I can afford to stay at the hotel, at least when I could tolerate it, They charge me $80 a night, and they don't even provide a coffee maker. So I've got my own coffee maker here and my own coffee that I have to bring into that hotel, which is a rancid, disgusting hotel, by the way. Also in the trunk here, you can see that's mainly for clothes, and I'll also put food back there. So it's got a fair amount of closet space. If the car ever gets stranded, though, there's going to be an awful lot of stuff sitting in this car just waiting for anyone to come by and grab it all. The last thing I'd like to show you, I guess, well, actually there's two other things. Let me show you my walk-in freezer. Okay, welcome to the walk-in. Actually, it's a sit-in refrigerator freezer. The entire car, as I told you, in the winter time, it equalizes with the temperature outside, which is usually between 0 and minus 20 degrees, and then the wind chill is up to minus 45 degrees. So this car is frozen solid throughout the winter. So this whole thing is my sit-in, walk-in freezer. I don't know what you call, well, okay, I know what you call it. Let's go visit my sauna. Okay, welcome to my sauna. In the summertime, this car, like I said, for about 3 months, it is over 90 degrees pretty much every single day. It is over 100 degrees much of that time. More than 100 degrees. The National Weather Service, oh, I forgot to mention, when it comes to kitchen and stuff, I do have some cutlery here. I have to hunt for it. It's usually buried under my bag there. I used to be a Skywarn spotter. Back when I had a normal life, I put my life at risk storm spotting to protect these housed people who have left me out here to die. I did that for many years when I lived in Kansas, Tornado Alley. So I still have my old radio. The National Weather Service will talk about these heat waves, and they will say it's life-threatening. They'll say heat stroke is a medical emergency. Call 911, which I can't do because TracFone shut down my phone. And they warn that it is life-threatening to be inside a car. They say within minutes it can become deadly temperatures. And I have to just sit here the entire day in this car. And the best I can do is open that window, open this, hope I don't fall asleep where I'm totally exposed, where I could be killed or molested or robbed or worse. And the interesting thing is, the National Weather Service, they say in that circumstance, be sure to check on children, the elderly, and pets. But they have never once said, check on the 4 million homeless Americans who, by definition of not having a home, are stuck outside in these temperatures. That's because our society completely ignores the fact that homeless people even exist. They won't even talk about us. I have gone to the National Weather Service repeatedly, asking them to ask people to check up on homeless people when there's heat waves or a deep freeze. They refuse to do it because we're just left to die. So this is my sauna in the summer. The only problem is I can't turn off the sauna. I have no air conditioning. And in the winter I can't turn off that deep freezer. I have no heater. So as I live in this car, Jay, one thing you don't have to deal with, and not just because you're pretty well off compared to most people, and you have presumably, I don't know, but you presumably have a very big, nice house, maybe with security and all that. But just your ordinary person in the suburbs, how often when they wake up in the middle of the night or in the morning, how often do they wake up and have a total stranger standing maybe 2 or 3 feet away from them while they're in bed? Because I have that all the time. I have creepy weirdos who come up and stare at me. These Minnesotans will come up and film. When I was in Lakeville one time at a Walmart, I was sleeping in the car. I woke up suddenly for whatever reason. Standing right in front of my car was a woman holding up her camera phone And as soon as she saw me, she like pulled it down and she just started looking at the ground, pretending that she lost something. I look over to my left and her car's parked right next to me, and her little daughter, who's probably 12 years old, was filming me with her phone there. And then the lady scampers and gets in her car and tears out and leaves. They didn't offer to help though. You see, when you're homeless, especially in Minnesota, you're just a zoo animal on display for the entertainment of other people. And like any zoo, you don't feed the animals. You don't help the animals. So quite often when I'm sleeping, when I wake up, there is some stranger just a few feet away from my car for whatever reason. And it's very disturbing way to wake up. Often I wake up because I hear that. About 80 to 90% of the time, that's the police checking my ID, because again, homeless people are bad, rotten, scary, dangerous people. Even though 99.99% of all crimes are committed by housed people, this is what the television set tells you. This is what the fake news media tells you. This is what YouTube will not allow me to tell you the truth about. So the police are constantly harassing and moving. Fortunately, the location I'm in right here, Burnsville, Minnesota, there's a couple places south of Minneapolis that have really, really good police departments. I have no issue with them whatsoever. They're wonderful. But a lot of places in Minnesota, especially north of Minneapolis and in Minneapolis, terrible. So now that they've gotten to know me here, I don't get this so much from the police at all. But I'll wake up and just have a stranger right outside my door. Sometimes it's just an ordinary suburbanite who wants. When my big computer, the SSD died about 3 months ago. Another reason I stopped making videos for the Homeless Consultant channel. I had about 3 or 4 videos lined up that were already done. I just needed to upload them. One of them was about how I woke up in the parking garage at work, which is private property and supposedly a secure location. I woke up and there were no less than 10 teenagers walking away from my car. They didn't wake me up. How do you get 10 teenagers at midnight in a parking garage not waking me up when it only takes a mouse farting to wake me up because I'm in such danger? My senses are so acute. It's because they were in there taking selfies of themselves in front of the homeless guy sleeping in his car. That's what Minnesotans do. I'm probably in, I don't know, a couple hundred selfie videos and photographs on YouTube and Instagram in the background, because that's what Minnesotans do. I had another video of the Somali teenagers here. Minnesota brought in all these Somali immigrants, gave them free homes, free cars, free phones, everything except a job. And then when I'm done working at my job and I sleep in my car, the Somali children always come up and they laugh at me. They think it's hilarious that Americans don't even take care of their own citizens and they give everything for free to them. This time I actually caught them with my good camera. I caught them taking selfies. She was holding up the camera with me in the background and they're all looking back and laughing at me, taking a selfie of me sleeping in my car. But it got lost when the SSD died before I could upload it to YouTube. So, living in this car when the COVID health scare happened, and Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota, he put in place a stay-at-home order. Jay, this is my home, this car. If I stay at home in this car, I'm breaking the law. You see, homeless people can't stay at home, but our society doesn't even think in terms of homeless people existing. When they put in place something like a stay-at-home order, Governor Tim Walz isn't thinking, gee, I wonder what impact this will have on 20,000 homeless Minnesotans. He doesn't think that way. He doesn't think about us. They don't care whether we live or die. So when he implemented a stay-at-home order, by the act of me staying at home, I was breaking the law and at risk of being thrown in jail. And if I didn't already know the police in this area and they didn't already know me, that's what very well might have happened to me. When he put in place the stay-at-home order, in my office of about 100 people, Every single other person just started working from home. I was the only person, the homeless guy, the only one who lost his job because I couldn't work at home. I don't have a home. This is my home. But Governor Tim Walz apparently doesn't feel any conscience at all about that. You know, everyone talks about Black Lives Matter. They talk about abortion. They will go out and they will hold signs. They will raise a ruckus. They'll yell and scream and chant slogans and do this for all these different causes out there, which ultimately are just silly at this point. But 4 million homeless people, and they won't even talk about the fact that we exist. I made a video called A Homeless Man's Challenge to Colin Kaepernick. You know, the guy with the big hair who gets paid millions of dollars to throw a ball like children do, but he gets paid millions of dollars to do it. I go to a real job where I'm doing something productive and I live in this car. I made a video, a challenge to Colin Kaepernick, and I pointed out in there how the black people who he says are so oppressed are doctors, lawyers, teachers, school administrators, school presidents, heads of the United Nations, presidents of the United States, astronauts, every form of professional imaginable, millionaires, billionaires, corporate executives. There's nothing but opportunity for them, as long as they don't go around dealing drugs and shooting people. But the black people who want to do something with their lives, nothing but opportunity for them. That's who he's standing up for because of their oppression. And I said in the same video, show me one homeless astronaut, one homeless judge, one homeless head of the United Nations. Show me one homeless person who has anything that resembles the kind of opportunity that those people have. And yet they will stand up and shout and scream and burn down buildings because black people are oppressed. Yeah, right. Homeless people have no opportunity. We are ignored and left for dead. 7 years in this car, and nobody has saved me from this. If I had a family, it wouldn't have happened. But I didn't have one. In our society, it is taboo to even acknowledge that homeless people exist. You don't even want to bring up the topic. Does it make other people feel uncomfortable? Maybe. Try being homeless and you'll know what uncomfortable is. But they won't do that. So Jay, the reason I mention all this is because I lived in San Diego, right? I worked down there before I moved out to Minnesota for about 6 years. I've seen the tent cities. I know how bad it is in Santa Monica with all the homeless people there. I want to make it clear to you, the reason those tent cities exist, the reason those human zombies are there, first of all, they are tens of thousands out of the 4 million homeless people in America. The vast majority of homeless people in America are just like me. They work for a living. They are sane, sober, well-educated. They are reliable. They obey the law. But you don't see them for that very reason. The drug addicts and the people who have absolutely no hope, who don't have a vehicle to live in, under the circumstances I just told you about, where we are treated like a zoo animal on display, where thousands and thousands and thousands of people will go to someone's YouTube channel to look at the $100,000 cars that they bought and filled a garage with, but someone who's homeless who's trying to tell the world about this only gets 30 or 40 views. These are the reasons why you have thousands of people living under bridges and begging for money on the beach in Los Angeles. I'm the one who can tell you what the problem with homelessness is, not these leftist lunatics who are largely responsible for all of this homelessness. If it wasn't for these leftist lunatics in Minnesota, I never would have became homeless. And when I became homeless, if we didn't have leftist lunatics running the state, people would have helped me to get out of homelessness. But the fact is, homelessness is one of America's biggest industries. It is a catalyst for social services, which is the largest part of the budget in most U.S. states. And all they have to do is every 6 months or so get the complicit fake media to go out there and do a story on homelessness. Have you ever noticed, Jay, how those stories about homelessness almost always bring in social services? And they'll take one homeless person or one homeless family. Look at what this social service did for them. It's all about funding social services, keeping those people sweet in their jobs and in their homes. We are left to die off camera. Period. And that's why your community and your city is infiltrated by thousands of these human zombies who are homeless. Before you go blame them and look for blaming them for the reason why they're in the situation they're in, you might want to look at my channel for a while and see what the reality is. There's a reason why your community, the place where you live, is surrounded by all those people. And it's not all because they made bad decisions. Might be part of it. Everybody makes bad decisions. You move on and you get out of it. They don't have the tools and the resources they need to get out of it, because so many people benefit financially and professionally from keeping them living that way. Just like these Minnesotans benefit professionally and financially from keeping me living in this car. My channel tells the people that, but YouTube shadow bans my channel. That's how I learned about your garage, when I was trying to figure out how bad it is what YouTube has done to prevent people from seeing my channel. And it recommended your channel instead. So I got to look at your beautiful car collection. Jay, I want to make it perfectly clear, I am not sitting here saying that you should feel bad or guilty because you have a garage full of extremely expensive cars while I'm living in a car and those people are living on the beach. Excuse me. I want to make it clear, I am not condemning you for that. When I had my home, before I lost my home, I had a epic guitar collection. I understand the aesthetic beauty of that. I understand you have the means, you have the ability, and you want to collect these beautiful cars, and they are beautiful. I thoroughly enjoyed the tour of your garage. Those are some nice cars. So I am not in any way, shape, or form trying to make you feel bad because you're taking the resources you've earned and you're using it to buy a collection of cars. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying is that there's a problem when you doing that can attract tens of thousands of people who want to see what's going on with your cars that are just sitting in a garage overnight while you're sleeping in a nice warm home. But nobody will come to my channel to see me sleeping inside my only car every single night for 7 years. This is why I'm living in a car. And it's not your fault, it's more YouTube's fault than anyone. Jay, your cars are impressive. There's some beautiful cars in there. Those old cars, I have such a heart for the 1930s and 1940s Americana. Oh my gosh, I wish I could see those cars for real. They are beautiful. And the McLarens are very nice cars. So you've done a great job collecting cars, just like I did a great job collecting guitars. Of course, I had to lose all my guitars when the state of Minnesota saw fit to let me become homeless. But I just want to make it clear, I am not in any way making this video to try to pin you against the wall. You're doing what you're doing with the money you've earned, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think you've got a great collection. I hope you find some more vehicles to add to it. But the one thing I would ask you to consider is, like me with guitars, if you accumulate too many guitars, then many of the guitars no longer get played. And a guitar is made to be played. It's made to sing, to have those strings vibrating. And the more guitars I accumulated, the less I got to play each guitar. Now, they were beautiful works of art, but so what? They're sitting inside an apartment and nobody sees them but me. The question was, what was it about these guitars that made them so special intrinsically? And I have other places where I talk about that topic. That's the question I would ask about your cars. Yes, they're beautiful to you. They're beautiful works of art. And yes, you get to take them out for a wonderful drive every once in a while. But Jay, am I wrong? Here's the question I want to ask you. Am I wrong? This car, given all of its problems, including what you witnessed last night at the beginning of this video, and yet this car got me to the mechanics, despite the white knuckle drive, the heart beating and the sweating and the sheer terror of driving down the highway, having the steering just doing its own thing. It got me here. And if I can find a way to get this fixed when I don't have any money, I will get it fixed and I'll be able to go to work for another day. Is it possible that I'm correct, that this car is, in fact, better and superior to every single car in your garage? Because what this car has done, the purpose that this car has served, is to literally keep me alive. It is my office. It is my video production studio. I've created 250 videos while homeless in this car. I have made music videos, multi-track music videos where I'm playing the drums, the guitar, the bass guitar, I'm singing in this car. 20 below zero during the winter, and I'm still here 7 years later. Over 100 degrees in this car in the summer, and I'm still here. Jay, this car is a miracle. Like I said before, this car has literally done more than 5.5 million Minnesotans collectively have done to ensure my safety and my security and my life. So with all due respect to the beauty of your car collection, and it is beautiful, I'll take this car over that any day. And it's horrible how people who learn about my situation, the first thing out of their mouth is, why don't you get rid of that piece of junk car? This car is my family. This car is my home. This car is my guardian. And people tell me to just junk it. For what? Another $1,000 car? Because that's all I can afford. This car is a safe and familiar place I can be when you've got this kind of stuff going on. Those are the guys at the tattoo shop, the osteo-phobes who don't like homeless people. They're part of the group out there who sell the meth and the drugs to the high school students. I have videos where I show you these drug dealers selling to the high school students out there. My reward for that was for the business owners to tell me never to be in their parking lot again. Not to go after the drug dealers who were dealing drugs that I filmed in their parking lot. Their response was, we don't want the homeless person in our parking lot. We don't care if the drug dealers are there, even if they're selling to children. We want the homeless person out of our parking lot. And that's how these people treat me. And the only thing I have to go to for solace is this car. But after 7 years, this car has fallen apart. I can't keep it going anymore. I can't afford to keep taking every paycheck I get. You know something else that's going on, Jay? When I moved out here, I had to leave everything that was related to my family in storage in Riverside, California. For 15 years, I've been paying for that storage. When I left, it was $80 a month. Then the place got bought out by Public Storage, which is why I didn't go to Public Storage in the first place. They have raised the price from $80 a month to $244 a month. For 15 years, I have paid about, $25,000, $30,000 for that storage, which has very little in it but it has every single thing I have to remember my family by. And I have no way to get that stuff back. And Public Storage just keeps raising the price every 2, 3, 4 months. That's why I'm still homeless. And I'm sorry I got so angry and then I brought so much sadness into this video because I wanted this to be a fun video. But you've got to understand the reality of what we're dealing with. I'm just one out of 4 million homeless people. You now know my story that you didn't know 24 hours ago. What are those other 4 million stories? You're never going to know if you go by what Hollywood says, where they bring in Will Smith, the comedian beater, who doesn't go to jail, by the way. If I went up and I hit a comedian at the Academy Awards, I would have been in jail. But Will Smith, who the last time I checked was black, you know, the oppressed class, according to Colin Kaepernick, the last I checked, he got to just sit there and enjoy. I think he even won an award, didn't he? After going up and punching another person. I'm no bad, dangerous homeless person. I've never done that to anyone. But that's how Hollywood portrays homelessness. Will Smith did a movie, where he played a homeless guy, and he pulled himself up by his bootstraps with his child, and he made it. And you know what? When you're dealing with 4 million homeless people, statistically, there will be a couple of people who get to do that. Statistically. But it's a bell curve. And it's only at that little front of the bell curve where you've got people like the homeless person Will Smith portrayed. You've got the big top of the bell where it's just people who suffer day after day after day after day. And no matter how hard they work, I've been at the same job for 6 years now. It doesn't matter because it goes into car repairs. It goes into paying for storage for an evil company who keeps raising the price of my rent over and over and over and over again because they know I'm 1,500 miles away and there's nothing I can do to go get my stuff back. So they just keep raising the price. That's the reality of the situation. Given all these things I've talked about here, Jay, you tell me, am I right or am I wrong? This car, this 2001 Mercury Cougar, for all of its flaws, for all of its falling away, this is the most beautiful car that has ever existed. It is the best car ever made. And brother, I love this car. I appreciate you watching very much. Thanks, Jay. You're the best friend that I ever had. Been with you such a long time. You're my sunshine, and I want you to know that my feelings are true. I really love you. Oh, you're my best friend.